Mm.
What are you having?
It's nearly finished. Are we
Black
live?
coffee.
Are we live?
Yeah.
What are you having, Judith?
I'm having a latte.
Okay, cool. Let's see what's happening for this morning. Morning, guys. Welcome to the 4th episode of the morning show. Once again, thanks for all of you guys that have tuned in the past. Thank you all for the nice messages and also the tips. Last time you guys said I must stop clapping, so I've got coffee to keep my hands busy. Judith, your side?
Yeah.
What we having?
I'm having a latte this morning.
Cool.
Grab your coffee. Maybe you want a cappuccino, americano.
Yeah.
Yeah, grab. Come and join us again. Come and sit with us. Come and have breakfast with us.
Yeah. I mean, so those that are joining for the first time, this is just a morning show. Paul and Wellington people showcasing them. We have interviews, we have sport, and we also have some entertainment, some live singing. So we're trying to get the morning kicked off on a good note. Today we've got, of course, most of you saw the poster. We've got Kevin Green. Kevin Green is, cycling is in his blood. We're going to chat to him a bit about more and his plans for the future. He also mentioned he has a club, and of course he also spotted Cricket South Africa, which is something exciting I'm trying to hear about. Who do we have singing?
We have singing Janine Jacobs this
Cool.
morning, so that's exciting. I can't wait. Beautiful singer. Can't wait to hear.
Cool. What's this thing about 4% tone deaf people?
We'll talk about that later.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. I thought I'm one of them. And then, of course, we've got Ethan Williams as well. He's been in the mix with rugby also his whole life. So we're going to chat a bit to him. He was also part of the competition in the finals as well. So can't remember the team's name. Judith, what's the team's name that Ethan plays for? No, I'm joking. Okay, cool. So let's get to Kevin. We're going to chat to Kevin a bit, and then Judith, we'll catch up with you.
We'll catch up later.
With some entertainment. Cool. Let me just put this down. Good morning, Mr. Green.
Good morning, Miles. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Early morning.
You're doing, it's a great pleasure, and I must just commend you on your work you have been doing. I'll elaborate a bit later on because I've got one specific story I want to tell you, which you have done.
Cool, man.
To really promote the community, I think that's one of the things why the village guys has been established as well.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. So what's keeping you busy? How things? COVID is here. It's busy trickling away. What's keeping you busy?
It's been quite a challenging year and a half. Also went into my own business since February. Left the corporate market. I think you've also left the corporate market. So that's a big challenge.
Okay.
But yeah, there's also a lot of possibilities out there. And CTC is one of them. Character through cycling. There's a lot of youth in the community, a lot of talent. And I've witnessed over the years a lot of talent just goes lost. Some are after school. There's no opportunities, and I think that's where we need to step in and try and make a difference.
Yeah. I wanted to jump into that conversation later, but I think we can jump right into it. So, just talent, Paul, cycling. What are the challenges?
The challenges over the years, I started competitive cycling in 1981. I think my journey started in 1919 before I was born with my grandfather. But the challenges as when I started in 1981 was always that there was a lot of talent, but no opportunities to take that talent further. And obviously that was during the apartheid years. But after, obviously now with democracy, there's so many more opportunities. We still sit with challenges though. We see a lot of talent coming through the ranks, but to a certain extent, there's no opportunities to actually further that talent, give that talent additional opportunities, take them to Europe, give them the opportunity to become full-time cyclists.
Yeah.
And that takes funding.
Yeah.
And I think funding is the main obstacle. It doesn't matter which code of sport, but I've witnessed that personally in cycling, that if without the necessary talent, or without the necessary funding,
Yeah.
that talent
Yeah.
that you've put in so much time into just goes lost at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. So let's jump a few decades back. So Kevin Green is, of course, born into a cycling family. You said your grandfather started Yorkshire, I think, in the beginning of the 90s, the first few decades thereof. And then he moved over to Paul, started Yorkshire here. Tell me a bit about that cycling, being born into a cycling family, and yeah, how it impacted you. I know you also had a few trophies, medals in cycling. I mean, just the impact of your grandfather's influence on cycling on you.
Yes, Miles, that's a very exciting story. And my grandfather, Kibedu Green Sr., he was one of the founding members of the Yorkshire Cycling Club in 1919.
Okay.
Interesting enough, the club was established in Maitland.
Wow. Okay.
And somehow my grandfather decided to move to Paul, and he brought the club to Paul. So Paul became the headquarters of Yorkshire Cycling Club. Well, at that point, you know, a lot of the cycling clubs was called amateur or athletics and cycling club. So Yorkshire was an athletics and cycling club back then.
Is it the oldest club in Paul?
I think Paul Cycling Club was established, I think, in the 1800s.
Wow.
I think in the 1800s.
Wow, that's interesting.
I'm not
Cool.
sure whether it was 1890s, around about there.
Yeah.
So Paul, I think Paul is the oldest, and then I think Yorkshire was basically the
Nice.
second cycling club in Paul specifically.
Perfect.
So my grandfather was a cyclist. My dad, them were four brothers. Three of them was cyclists. One became a plumber. And then that's another interesting story. You interviewed Uncle Boet Jantjies.
Yeah.
He was a plumber.
Yeah.
But a lot of the cyclists became plumbers because my grandfather was a plumber. And three of my dad's brothers were plumbers.
Oh, wow.
So as like you know, Peter Nicholson grew up in the Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
And my uncle Japie Green, he was the president of the South African Cycling Association. That was the previous black body of cycling. And he spotted Peter Nicholson in the Eastern Cape during some cycling event. Brought him to Paul. He became like a son of Uncle Japie Green. Lived in the house. He could ride his bike full time, but he also became a plumber.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
Peter Nicholson became one of the well-established plumbing businesses in Paul as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and then his daughters took it further. You know, so yeah, that was one of the heritages of cycling, that a lot of cyclists became plumbers.
Why is that? It's like plumbing and pumping. It's like.
Yeah, I don't know. It's because back then there wasn't a lot of money.
Oh, right.
So people, well, if you were a cyclist, you still had to work. I think Uncle Japie Green, he had a passion for that, to also empower young cyclists to become employed, and a lot of them, if they worked in Tableview, for instance, they had a plumbing job there, they would train there. Uncle Japie had to made them train there, do the job for the day in terms of plumbing, and then they had to train back, so they could do both at the same time.
Okay, cool. So now we're moving a few decades later. Your professional cycling career. So of course you also had Boland Colours, VP Colours at one stage.
Yeah, in 1981 I started cycling at the age of 12 as an under 16 rider, and in 1985 at the SA Champs in Port Elizabeth. Track champs, I became the SA champ in the 1500 as well as the 5 kilometer.
Cool.
And 1988 became the 1500 meter SA champion in the junior category. That same year, also achieved my junior Springbok colours for road cycling. And 1990 in the senior category in Durban at the SA track champs, also won the 1500 meter on the track there. And in 92, I think one of my highlights is when I became a Springbok cyclist.
Nice.
I think we were one of the last teams to still get the Springbok emblem in 92. And then moved to Johannesburg, and then work obviously took over the actual cycling part of my life. Stopped cycling when I was 26 years old, which was very young, due to work pressures, etc. When I came back to Paul in 1999, And in 2002, as a veteran, between the age of 30 and 34, won the 1500 meter again at the SA track championships at the Bellville Velodrome. So the 1500 meter was one of my favorite events, as you can gather.
Yeah.
And then, so then I lost track a bit with cycling. I was, early 2000s, was the chairman of Yorkshire Cycling Club.
Okay.
And then February last year, in 2020, became the Vice President of Cycling South Africa.
Cool.
My portfolio specifically is diversity and inclusivity.
Okay, cool.
And one of the, maybe I need to highlight that specifically, is because one of our projects is cyclists from the apartheid years that did not get the recognition. They were maybe national champions.
All right, okay.
Did not get the recognition like Uncle Boet Jantjies, you know?
Yeah.
There's so many others.
Yeah.
And to obviously give them the recognition. We're just in the process now of getting the emblem, and obviously we need to work via SASCOC, etc.
I think SA Rugby also did a similar thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to get the emblem approved, and you know, Uncle Boet passed on.
Yeah.
But fortunately, you interviewed him.
Yeah.
You know, and that it's actually for me, well, a nice story for the village guy.
Yeah.
And that's testimony of the actual work you are doing. The man didn't get the recognition as yet, but he was, at least he was on live Facebook, basically, where people could hear what Uncle Boet Jantjies was all about.
No, I mean, when I chatted him also, it's probably like one of my most fascinating interviews, because it was just like, I think at the one stage you also got very emotional because of that recognition thing. But I mean, yeah, that was also, there's so many of those stories here in Paarl that need to be made. So just quickly, before we move over to the singing, I just wanted to ask you something. Your experience of what is the biggest difference currently with your professional cycling career in your 1900s and now in the 2000s? I mean, what is the top two biggest differences?
I think the biggest difference is in 1989, I got the opportunity to go race in France. We were 3 cyclists. We were supposed to go for 6 months. After 3 months, we could not race anymore because of our nationality.
Okay, right.
And in the apartheid years, there were sports sanctions. Doesn't matter which color you were, you were not allowed to race outside of South Africa. I think that's one of the biggest benefits of today, is that you have the opportunity, if you have the talent, to go overseas, to go to a different stage, and for here in South Africa you have talent scouts.
Yeah.
But you need to get to a different platform for other talent scouts to see you, and I think Europe is one of those platforms where our current riders have the opportunity. So that's, I think, the biggest difference. The other big difference is today cycling and any other sport has become very scientific.
Okay.
The riders go to Science to Sport, for instance, in Newlands, and they have their lab testing done in terms of VO2 maxes, etc., etc. They have their fat percentage levels tested and so forth. So it's very scientific, and programs gets written according to that specifically.
Oh wow! Okay.
We used to just race, and we knew that 6 weeks before national champs we had to peak, so we had to do a lot of speed training and a lot of this and that. Today, those programs are specific to the rider and also in detail to peak at a specific point in time. Yeah.
Okay. So that So okay. So once we finish with this music, we're just going to speak about CTC. Also want to chat to you a bit about Paarl 6 as well. It's also something big in South Africa. I mean in Paarl, and then also what are the development plans from the Cricket SA perspective?
Cycling,
just like
yes.
cycling in South
Yes,
Africa.
yes.
We came from Olympics now delayed, and I think some of the cyclists did pretty well. And also the Paralympics is also finished, so maybe we can touch on that after. So over to Judith, and let's hear some angel voices.
Awesome. Thank you, Miles. So interesting fact is that 4% of the world's population is actually tone deaf. Yeah, so that's interesting. I also found out that Miles is also part of that 4%. But someone that's definitely not part of that 4% is the beautiful and talented Janine Jacobs that's standing right next to me. A beautiful, natural woman. But before we get into it and tell you a little bit more about Janine, Janine is just going to serenade us with a song, Natural Woman. Take it away, Janine. in a few questions.
Well, I'm Janine, all the way from Wellington.
Awesome. The same place as me.
Yes, I'm a sister of 7 brothers.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I started my learning careers in Albans. I matriculated in Bayakuraba High. I started going overseas in 2012, working there for 9 years.
Wow.
Yes, so after this pandemic, and then we couldn't go to Spain
Yes.
and all that stuff. So yeah, that is me singing in South Africa and also on board.
Fantastic. And which places did you visit overseas?
Ooh, I worked in Lanzarote, Fuerteventura, Ibiza, Mallorca, Menorca, Fuerteventura.
Oh, those are all lovely places to
Yes,
travel to,
yes,
yeah?
yes, definitely.
Fantastic, that's beautiful. So tell me, how did you get into the entertainment industry? Like, where did it all start?
Well,
this
I have to
desire?
say, it all started with my dad. Because why he was this coon guy, Klopse, they say, most no?
Yes,
Klopse
yes.
is well known as Colonel Abrams. They call him
Yes.
Prus. So
Yes, the
when-
very famous.
yes, Colonel Abrams Prus, yes.
Yes.
So when he started with his team, I think they were 40 years ago, 40 years. When I started, I was like, maybe I was 12. I started my first junior solo as, he wrote the song Straatkinders, I think. So I did my first junior solo as that, and I won. And then
Oh.
after that, I was decided, no, I want to do this for the rest of, because the crowd is
How
just
exciting.
net mal op die stage. I was like, no,
Yeah.
I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was thinking that he's the reason why I got into this, because of his motivation, always pushing me to strive more, you know.
Yes.
So
And you
yes.
can also see, if you know him, if you know Chris, then you would know he's a positive
Yes,
person.
yes.
He's always a great person to be around with, and
Yeah.
has that positive vibe, and always just pushes people to go for
Yes.
their goals and to reach it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So tell me, if you would be able to sing with anyone famous, or even open a show for anyone, would you think you would want to open a show for?
Definitely Aretha Franklin, because that woman has a
Wow.
huge voice. I love her so much since I was little. Whitney Houston is my biggest fan, but Aretha Franklin has a voice that nobody
Yeah.
can compare with. Definitely Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, and I think you also have the same kind of genre. When I listen
Yes,
to you,
yes.
it's the same kind of vibe,
Yes.
same kind of feel that you have when it comes to singing, yeah? Fantastic. I also know that I'm going to let out a little secret because I'm actually excited about that. It's always exciting for me when someone from the same town as me grew up in the same streets as me. We all know the street that you grew up in is, I want to say, almost in Wellington, it's very famous. People hang out there, especially colored people. They come together on weekends over there, whether it's over rugby or even the clubs.
Yes.
Yeah, all the singing and all of that, it brings the people together. So it's always so exciting for me just to, so I'm going to mention a little bit, Janine also wrote a song.
I wrote 2.
She wrote 2 songs. So
Yes, but the one is on YouTube, but the other one I wrote for my brother, who passed away because I couldn't come home for the funeral and the stuff.
sorry
and
to hear about that.
so I had to write this one for him, but I didn't make it in time. So that's why I chose to write it for him.
Beautiful. And tell me a little bit about the lyrics of the song and what does it tell? What is
The song I
emotion?
wrote is I'm Coming Home. The
Yes.
reason why I wrote it because I was far from home, and then I couldn't be there for him when he was sick. I couldn't be there to be by his side. So I wrote, I'm coming home. I know that you miss me, and I'm not there to be by your side. So that's why I chose that song to write that song.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Janine. So we're going to go over, if we're ready with the song, then Janine's going to sing Natural Woman. And a little bit later, she's also going to sing another song for us, but that's for later. But for now, Natural Woman. Take it away.
Thank you. Looking out on the morning rain, I used to feel so uninspired. And when I knew I had to face another day, Lord, it made me feel so tired. Before the day I met you, life was so unkind, but you're the key to my peace of mind, 'cause you make me soul was in the lost and found. You came along to claim it, and I didn't know just what was wrong with me till your kiss helped me name it. I'm no longer doubtful for what I'm living for, and if I make you happy, I don't need to do more, 'cause you make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman, woman. Oh, baby, what you've done to me. You make me feel so good inside, and I just wanna be close to you. You make me feel so alive, 'cause you make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman, woman. You make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman, woman.
Thanks, madam. That was pretty amazing. Yeah, that's some super talent. Anyway, guys, so of course we are here with the sport. Dean, shall we on with the sport? And we have, of course, Dean, my co-host, Dean Apollos. He's got it's what you call it, a bijnaam, but of course he said we can't give the bijnaam now. Okay, cool. So Dean, wie het ons vandaag hier zo?
Ons het hom al voorheen gehad, vorige zo. Ons het vir Ethan Williams, die huidige skramskakel van die Griffins. En kan ek sê, ex New Orleans oud-leerder. New Orleans is toch te goed met sport en rugby, veral in rugby.
Excuse me.
Hulle sê New Orleans is die mekka van Perel in rugby. Okay. Ons gaan dit meer verder hoor van Ethan. Hoe het sy seisoen gegaan die jaar? Hulle het finale gespeel, waar hulle weer vastgeval het in die Luipere. So ons gaan net die experience deel met julle. Hoe was het en hoe was die reëlings met die voorbereiding vir die finals in die beker, né? Okay. Ethan?
Dat was een moeilijke seizoen om het zo te stellen. Want het is elke week het dus hier processen gaan waar ons moet COVID-test moet doen. Als daar misschien nou iemand positief was, moest ons geïsoleerd voor 2 weken. En die eerste week, ongelukkig voor die andere span, die EP, toen het hulle 12 positieve cases gehad. So toen moest hulle eerste game geforfeit het. Maar voor ons seizoen gelukkig het ons niet so baie positieve cases gehad. So daar was die so te sê tyd vir ons om die 2 weke te isolate. Ons was goed voorbereid vir die finals en vir die rest van die games. Ons het ons in die league het ons eerste game wat ons teen die Leopards gespeel het, het ons vastgeval, ook op hulle tuiste. Ons het geweet het gaan nie maklik wees op iemand anders te tuiste nie. Ons het toe deurgegaan, semies gespeel teen die Valke op ons tuisveld, waar ons die Valke redelik ore aangesit het. Toe die voorbereiding was dieselfde gewees wat ons deurgegaan het teen die eerste game teen die Leopards. Maar ongelukkig kon ons nou nie die beker gelig het, maar hulle sê mos 'n mens leer maar uit die goed.
Zeg maar Ethan, so die mense wat nie van jou ken nie, of course New Orleans, het julle derby gespeel, by any chance?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool. So begin uit met die derby. So derby first team gespeeld en wat ander van ek verstaan jy was ook laas jaar was C of die jaar was C en
2019.
ja, toe kom jy weer terug. So wat is die teams waarmee jy gespeel het tot by nou by die Valke?
Ik heb van die Orleans 2015 first team gespeel en 2016. 2015 het ons ongelukkig 10-10 vastgevallen tegen Klein Nederburg of gelijk opgespeeld. 2016 mijn laatste jaar het ik ongelukkig niet die final of die derby gewonnen nie. Maar dat is deel van die leven. Mensen kan niet altijd winnen. Mensen moeten leren uit je verloren. Na 2016 het ik 2017 op Pretoria toe gegaan. Was voor de tijd daar in Pretoria bij Tuks gespeeld.
Okay.
Karikap gespeeld voor Limpopo Blauwballen.
Okay.
Waar ons die Griffins 120 finals gespeeld. En ik heb 4 vastgevallen tegen die Griffins. 2018 heb ik toen een contract gekregen bij die Griffins. Waar ik mijn loopbaan daar verder gevat heb. 2018 heb ik dus tegen die Pumas gespeeld in die finals. Waar de Pumas gewonnen. Toen heb ik dan Portugal toe gegaan. Waar ik mijn loopbaan daar verder gevat heb. En terug huis toe gekomen waar ik weer bij die Griffins 2019 gespeeld heb. 2019 was voor mij een baie moeilijke jaar geweest waar ik gesukkel het met blesserings.
Ja.
Toen ik huis toe kom, of ik het eerst Frans toe gegaan en ik het toen weer zeer gekregen in Frans huis toe gekomen. En toen heb ik maar nou mijn 9 maanden dier gerehab. Die dokter Liebenberg heeft van mij gevraagd of ik weer rugby wil spelen. Van soos my besering gelyk het hy vir my gevra hoekom wil ek dit weer doen. Ek het vir hom gesê dit is my passie, dit is waarvoor ek lief is. So whatever in my pad gaan staan, gaan ek oorkom. So ek het vir hom gesê nee, ek voel dit is waar ek wil wees. Met watter obstacles in my pad en ek gaan oorkom, ek kan oorkom. En die jaar 2020 het ons nog nie rugby gehad nie.
Ja.
As gevolg van COVID-19. En die jaar het ek my terug, soos ek nou sal sê, my terugkom in die sport. My eerste game was teen die Pumas in Nelspruit, Mbombela Stadium. Ek was 'n bietjie skrikkerig om het so te stel, want ek het nog nie weer kontak gehad na my besering nie. Alles dit het deur my kop gegaan. Maar toe ek eers aan die bal raak, toe voel ek at ease, toe voel ek meer ek het dit.
Okay. Zeg vir my as 'n skool rugby speler first team, nou speel jy skool rugby. As jy straight in die professional environment gaan waar jy mos nou tikkie speel en jy kry 'n kontrak. Wat was vir jou die grootste verskil of wat jy geskrik like okay, jy speel sport rugby by die skool, jy speel skool rugby en all of a sudden is 'n professional setup. Wat is hy ding wat gesê het, wow, is dit eintlik professional sport? Wat het jou laat skrik? Ja, wat is dit van alles like skoolkinders wat rugby speel, hulle wil almal mos nou 'n kontrak hê nou. Vir jou, wat is hy skrik like? Joh, is die professional? Wat het vir jou like maybe skrik en ook disappointing? Wat is hy?
Die eerste dag toe ek op loftes kom, dit was my eerste dag in Pretoria. Hulle het ons almal nou voorgestel, ons het deur die stadium 'n bietjie gaan kyk. En toe ons nou finally klaar is en ons kom nou op die veld. Toe die eerste persoon wat ek gesien het op die veld, was Jessie Kriel. En toe besef ek myself maar. Dit is nou waar ek nou moet step op.
Okay. Hoekom aan Jessie Kriel as like op favorite player van jou wat?
Dit is 'n favorite player van my, maar dit is toe die moment wat ek vir myself sê, dit is Jessie Kriel is 'n springbok. Ek moet nou vir myself sê nee maar ek is nou hier.
Okay.
En my tweede, ek sal nou nie sê as ek was nog as baie teleurgestel in myself gewees want ek sê altyd vir myself as ek die beste wil wees, dan moet ek teen die beste kan speel.
Yeah.
En toe ek my ons het 'n oefensessie gehad en toe ek my oë oopmaak, toe sien ek net vertrewe nie kan nie op my afhardloop.
Okay.
En dat was net die moment wat ik net mijn oor toe maak, maar net met die gevoelig. Ja,
Oh, ik heb geoefend en toen kom je af op jou. Oké, cool.
Ik was zo te zien, teleurgesteld aan mezelf, want ik heb voor mezelf gezegd, ik wil die beste visie, die hardloop treffen en ik kan mijn oren mee.
Ja. Oké, maar als ik een starstruck moment van, dat is ook een springbok en nou ik zie die ook hier altijd op TV en all of a sudden zie ik me op real life, maar ik kom op af op mij. Oké, cool. Oké, ja, en dan Dean, ja, laten we
Zoals meneer Green heeft gezegd, die dedication op baie van ons jong spelers of schoolkinders, hij is baie goed op school en skielik raak hy net verloren na school. Hoe kan ik zeggen, hoe zijn motivation na school, zoals hij nog gezegd op pre-season begin met nou November, maar als we trainen 4 maanden van nou of 3 maanden van nou af, hoe moet je jezelf preparen om jezelf blij motiveren? Vooral zoals nou als Janine is, hoe moet je heel te veel motiveren om voor die afgelopen nou voor die 3 maanden om weer om op een piek te komen? En voor alles Janine is.
Je moet nooit twijfelen in jezelf. Jij was al daar om het zo te stellen. So, je moet niet weten wat je moet doen. So, je moet nooit lek bij oefeningen en je weet waar je goed in is. So, werk aan dat en aan je zwakheden. So, soos ons kry 'n program waar ons moet terugvoering gee aan die coaches elke dag. So ons moet dat doen. So ons kan nie slaap lê nie. Om het so te stel.
So sê vir my like a professional setup, as jy nou in 'n professional setup het, daar's mos baie structure. So wat is die grootste challenge as iemand nou vars uit die skool uitkom of van die university in 'n professional structure van dis mos nou amper so jy's nou 'n salaris, jy nou 'n paid player. Wat is die grootste challenge en iets wat jou laat skrik ook van die professional van die structure?
Om in die structure te bly van so ons nou nie net ons kleerlinge nie, maar vir almal jy gaan nou weg van jou huis af, jy los jou familie by die huis. So nou is jy in 'n ander environment. So om daar te bly as 'n moeilike besluit wat jy vir jouself moet maak. Soos ek het vir myself sê, ek is ver van my familie af, ek is baie oor my familie. So ek is ver van my familie af, so ek moet dit vir hulle doen. Hulle was my motiverend. So ek het myself gesê, daar was tye wat ek net wil opgee, maar dan sê ek myself, ek doen dit nie net vir myself, ek doen dit vir die mense wat opkyk na my by die huis, wat agter my staan. So as ek nou vir hulle gaan teleurstel, dan hoe gaan ek vir hulle in die gesig kyk?
Maar wat laat jou dink, wat laat vir jou die decision wou maak om op te gee? Is it just a different, is moeilik om weg te wees van die huis af?
As moeilik, veral as jy uit die skool uitkom, sterk in 'n professionele setup, is moeilik om hy aanpassing te maak.
Okay. Cool, and so what are the big plans now? So we Falcon now, jy laat ons nou verloor in 'n final weer. Lyk my verloor in elke final wat dan is. Wat is nou die future?
Voodoo in final.
Ons begin nou November maand met ons hoe kan ek dit nou stel? Met ons oefeninge, ons pre-season.
Okay.
En dan kyk ons maar hoe die dinge vorentoe gaan. Ons hoop maar vir die beste van hulle sê nou daar's 'n 4de wave wat kom, so ons kyk maar wat gaan verwag.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, alle voorspoed. Ek sien ook was Drakensberg municipality nou 'n briefie uitgestuur dat sport of goedjies kan nou begin. Dean, ek weet jy wil die rugby wil praat om Sondagie, maar ons kyk mos die rugby op Sondag.
Ja, ek wil definitief daaroor praat. Ethan, sy Instagram en Facebook naam is Ethan Fiji Williams. We wil net graag weten waar kom je Fiji in?
Dat is aangekomen in 2017, waar ik bij Tux was. Mijn coach Len Olivier heeft ooit zo'n move gehad wat zijn naam was Fiji. En ik wil net die move doen.
Okay.
En na dat toe, als het maar nou net mijn rolmodellen is allemaal van Fiji. So. Dat is maar waar die naam komt.
Okay, Dina, so what sport do we have up front? What sport in the past? We niet lang praten over die boeken nie, maar I mean...
Ons praten ook hier gister aan, maar die naweek wat kom is het weer die championship. die Springbokken in Australië.
Okay,
En
cool.
dan is het weer New Zealand in Argentinië. En dan is
cool.
het weer onze English Premier League. En dan is het weer die F1. Als het sport begint nog weer op te tellen.
Okay, cool.
Voor mij is het baie lekker om heel dag net voor de TV te zitten. Je weet niet wat ik kanaal om te drukken. Later dan word ik uitgeskeeld. Wanneer kijk ik een beetje Zuidooster. Zo. Ik wil voor Ethan vooruit die predictions voor de naweek. Tussen die championship. Australië, Zuid-Afrika, New Zealand en Argentinië. En wees baie voorzichtig wat ik zeg.
Ik is nou niet een van die supporters, een van die Spaanse supporters. Maar ik zal gaan met New Zealand, tegen Argentinië, een moeilijke een tussen Zuid-Afrika en de Wallabies. Ik voel Zuid-Afrika kan die een van.
Ik denk ook na zondag gaat er iets wel bewijzen.
Ethan, baie dankie vir jou tyd meneer. En voorspoed met die jaar wat voor die.
Baie dankie.
Valke, hoop jy wen in 'n final hier. Tina, sien iets van jou?
Nee, is recht. Als net dankie, is lekker om je te eten. En sterkte met jouw toekomst voor en toe.
Yeah, cool.
Baie dankie.
Thanks guys. So we of course gonna go over to the angel voice again. So we can over to Judith.
Is that angel voice hier langs aan mij? So if we think about, I'm just thinking about Powell Street now. I was sitting there and I'm thinking about how you grew up and all of that, that whole environment that you were in. And I'm thinking about how you traveled the world. And I've been overseas for a few years also. And I'm just thinking about how my mindset broadened when I went overseas and all the different cultures and food and different people you experience. Tell me a little bit about that. What is the best advice you've ever been given? Now we're traveling overseas and even just in your local community. What is the thing that you always take with you, that you take to heart?
Well, I have a lot of people in my life, my family and my friends who loves me very much and support me. But for me, the advice they always give me is, if you're not going to believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in yourself. That's the best advice I think I've ever gotten from them.
And that's definitely true, eh? I was thinking about someone mentioned last week, and it stuck with me when that person said that. When you give birth to something, it's either going to be, you can only give birth to one thing. And it's either going to be you choose to give birth to fear, or you choose to give birth to purpose. So we have a choice, and when I think about you, and you had that choice, and you made that choice, you said to yourself, I'm going to give birth to purpose. And it's so beautiful to see how your journey unfolded, and your beautiful voice, like I could listen to you. I could sit in a room alone and listen to you, and then I could sit at shows where there's big shows, and I can see you just serenading people and just singing for your life. Yeah.
So much.
But another question that I have is, if you could do anything else except for, if you weren't able to sing, if you were part of the 4% that Miles was part of, then what other career would you pursue?
Well, for me, it's while growing up, I had a very difficult childhood from adopting to adopting. I would like soos hulle sê, ek sou wel 'n sosiale werker, social worker gewees het, om ander kinders ook te help. Dis die ander ding wat as ek nou nie kan gesing het, dan sal ek by ander kinders help.
Well, there you have it. She even she can sing and she has a heart for people.
Yeah.
You can hear that. My last question for you, Janine, or second last question is that, where can people find you on social media? I'm sure you do events and all of that. I know with Corona and all of this, you mentioned that it's been very slow, and for singers it's very difficult, obviously, because as I said last week, you guys thrive on the crowd and performing for audiences. But where can people find you? Like, I'm sure you're available for any event.
Just contact me. There's
So there's a WhatsApp number that they can.
WhatsApp. There's a Facebook. They can just come follow me on Janine Jacobs. There's an Instagram, JC Sinterisa, and my WhatsApp number. Must I give it?
Yes, you can. You can if
It's
you want to.
060-389-3129.
Perfect. So if you have any event, if you'd love for Janine to come and sing, I know you sang last week at Radio KC's event, for the women, and it was so beautiful. I could hear in the crowd, someone was recording, and I could just hear someone saying behind the phone, "Oh, beautiful! Oh my word, I can listen to you for hours." So Janine, it was so lovely to have you here. We're gonna do another song, a last song, but before that, we're gonna go back to Miles to do his last famous 10 questions. And then, yeah, but Janine, it was so lovely to have you here, and I'm sure we're going to have you back on the show. And I can't wait to see Janine just in front of a large crowd singing away. I can see you doing something like the same as Adele.
Yeah.
As you said, Aretha Franklin, it's also your idol. I can see you doing that, and good luck for the future. You are definitely going places.
Thank you so much.
Back to Mouse.
Oh man, yeah, thanks. Going places. She's been all over the world already. I mean, she's all those, I don't know, it sounded like different languages of countries that she's been in. Anyway, we're speaking to Kevin Green, yeah, so of course, Vice President of Cycling South Africa, and I just wanted to chat to him about just the future of development for cycling in SA. And then also he's got exciting things happening every year. He's of course also started a new cycling team. I want to hear a bit more about that. And then also every single year they've got the Pulse 6. I'm not sure if it happened last year, but I'll find out from him if it happened. I'm not sure. I didn't see something probably because of COVID. But yeah, so first let's start about, CTC, what it means, just everything about it.
Yes, Miles. CTC stands for Character Through Cycling. So what it basically means is we're building character through, and the actual vehicle is cycling specifically.
Okay, cool. Nice.
CTC was inked on paper in 2013. Established on Hebrews 11 verse 1, which says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things we don't see as yet. So there was a hope, and there was a faith in God, and we had to put it on paper, and obviously there were steps in between, and then that's the substance that needs to manifest for that hope to become a reality, and that's what Hebrews 11 verse 1 is all about.
Cool, nice.
So yes, Derek Williams, my cousin, he did our mental fitness program this year for CTC. He actually came up with the name, so I need to give him the credit for Character Through Cycling. Towards the end of 2020, as you said, a challenging year, and a cyclist I rode with in the same team in 1990 with Mark Blewett. Mark Blewett is currently living in Italy. He's got a business in China. And Mark, we just reconnected 31 years later.
Nice.
You know, and one of the lesson I've learned through that is never underestimate the people you meet along the way. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago. So this was 31 years ago. Met Mark Blewett. We raced for the same team, and Mark came on board. And he put up funding to make CTC a reality, and for that hope to become true.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And so CTC from January 21 became a cycling team. We affiliated to the Yorkshire Cycling Club, and as I said, CTC is a holistic development program or academy. We have 6 pillars we are founded on. One of them are obviously looking at the physical in terms of the cycling specifically.
Correct.
We have an education pillar. So the idea is not to just put someone on a bicycle and just there you go and there you go ride and so forth, pay your entry fee and so. But the idea is really to develop the whole person.
Okay.
So while you're cycling, we need to put things in place, but also post-cycling. What happens after you finish your cycling career? Then that's why education is so important, and funding will then facilitate like a bursary program where we can have our cyclists study further whilst actually riding their bicycles. We have nutrition is one of the critical pillars. Then we have the mental fitness program, which Derek Williams facilitated this year. It was rolled out over a 4-day program, but over those 4 days were basically scattered over say one every week.
Nice.
And mental fitness is very important. It's a very important pillar. And then inclusivity is one of the pillars. Did I miss out something now? And then the 6-pillar holistic development program, that's what CTC is all about.
So how does a cyclist get into the CTC? Must you be part of a club, or can you just knock on the door and say, hey Kevin, I'm good at cycling?
Yeah, currently what we've done for 2021 is we looked at the current talent we have, and we have 3 riders, well, actually 5 riders from Paul. We've got 2 from Cape Town. So we've currently got a 7 rider system. And so at the moment we're looking at talent that we can take further.
Nice. Okay.
I think you first need to prove yourself where you are currently, and if you have proven yourself in terms of discipline,
Yeah.
you know, it's not just, I mean, a cyclist needs to, any other sports person, they need to sleep right, they need to train right, they need to eat right, they need to drink enough water and all that kind of stuff, you know. So that's why when it comes to, for instance, as one of my principles is when it comes to a national team, you need to you need to select on merit.
Yeah,
Whether,
correct.
it doesn't matter which color.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everyone needs to train right. Everyone needs to eat right. So how can how can I say, give credit to underperformance?
Yeah.
Or to someone that's not disciplined,
Yeah.
not motivated, not
Yeah.
training properly, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's...
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
that's
So
what we're
how do
striving
people get
towards.
hold of CTC? Or do they, like, what happens if there are funders that want to get involved or people?
Yes, the funders, we have a website,
Okay, cool.
www.ctcacademy.cc.
Nice.
And my telephone number is 065-821-5482.
Okay.
And yeah, CTC is a proudly Paul initiative, as with Paul 6.
Yeah.
And we at the moment are obviously looking at funders for 2022, 2023, and so forth. And yes, we want to encourage Paul businesses, Cape Winelands businesses to really look at investing in CTC. Yes, yeah.
Okay, cool. Paul 6 also every year, December. I think it's now its 3rd or 4th year.
Yeah, Paul 6 was initiated in 2017, also founded on Hebrews 11 verse 1.
Okay, cool.
The idea was there is the first ever 6-day track cycling event in South Africa and Africa.
Cool.
It's a very a prominent concept in Europe. You get the London 6, you get the Munich 6, the Ghent 6, etc. So Paul 6 was initiated then. The first year we got interest from an Irish team. So it's cyclists, it's teams of 2 cyclists.
Okay.
That races every day. They do 6 events over 6 days.
Okay.
But there's only 1 podium.
All right. Perfect.
So they score points along the way. They can, and so forth, and the team with the most points and that's done maybe the most laps as well. Those are the teams that will get onto the podium. So year 1, 2017, we had an Irish team here. They actually won the first ever Paul 6. So Paul 6 became an international event.
Okay, nice.
From year 1. Year 2, we had 10 South African teams participating, but we also had a team from Denmark and a team from England.
Nice.
Participating. 2019, we had interest from Belgium, we had interest from Denmark again, Germany,
nice.
etc.
Okay, cool. So it's growing.
So yes,
nice.
Just funding was in the the main obstacle for 2019, because it takes a lot of capital for our cyclists to go overseas to get that kind of exposure. So what Paul 6 then envisaged was that to bring that international talent to South Africa. So it becomes so much cheaper for our own South African riders to get that international competition.
Nice. Okay,
But
cool.
then Paul 6, one of the principles was that we would pay for those riders to come to South Africa.
Okay, so that's a lot of money.
So that was the main challenge. Drakensberg municipality was kind enough to support Paul 6 from year 1.
Nice.
2020 was a challenge because of all the budgets of etc. went towards COVID. So Mark Blewett, my funder for CTC and also the co-founder of CTC, Mark Blewett then stepped in and said, okay, let's just have the event go on for 2020. So in December 2020, we had a 1-day event.
All right, okay.
So the actual teams was teams of 2, raising 6 events on that specific day,
Okay, cool.
and there was only 1 podium. So Paul 6 was fortunate enough, and by the grace of God, to actually take place in 2020.
Okay. 2021, is it happening?
2021 funding, we are in the process of just looking at that.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, so
All right,
I'm
cool.
trusting the Lord as we stand on Hebrews 11 verse 1 for that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that Paul 6 will happen
Yeah.
this year again. Yes.
Yeah, and of course, a Paul conversation. I was speaking about Boxing Day. Is not a Paul cycling conversation. Do we have any Boxing Day trophies yourself?
I've won a couple of races. I've never won a 25 mile.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's an event that I raced quite often with, quite often in the 80s and the 90s. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Of course, massive in Paul.
Massive in Paul. I think that it is the event, I think, in Africa with the most spectators. Then also having a look last year, I saw an event happening. I'm not sure, it was in another African country. The guys, the cyclists rode on like a sand
Yeah,
track.
I think I saw it. Yeah.
And there was a stand right around,
Yeah.
and that stand was packed.
No, I think.
And that was probably, I don't know what it was, 100,000 people. So that's actually the biggest in terms
Yeah.
of spectators. But in terms of the traditional track cycling,
Yeah.
I think Boxing Day is one
Okay,
of the
cool.
biggest events. yes.
Okay, and then lastly, just from a Cycling South Africa hat on in terms of development for youth. So yeah, what's the message out to the youth cyclists, and then also what are the plans from Cycling SA for development of South African youth?
Yes, my role at Cycling South Africa currently is in terms of inclusivity and diversity. So yes, we work directly with any development academy that wants to become a part of the structure. So we encourage any interested parties to then liaise with one of the clubs in the area, or find out where the province head office is, like Cape Winelands, for instance, is based in Paul. So that academy would then contact the people at Cape Winelands Cycling.
Okay, cool.
And then we would then basically, in all the other provinces, it basically works the same. So we would help that specific academy to become a member of Cycling South Africa, first a member of the province or the region, and then Cycling South Africa.
Cool. Right,
and
cool.
then Cycling South Africa gets funding every 2 years from the National Lottery. So then we have these academies applying for bicycles, whether it's a BMX, a mountain bike, a track bike, or a road
Cool.
bike.
Cool.
We facilitate membership for the actual youth that wants to start racing. There are youth festivals, for instance, now this weekend there's one in Oudtshoorn, there's in beginning of October there's one in Mpumalanga. So we facilitate and assist with transport to those events. Funding is a big concern.
Yeah,
That's why
course.
Cycling South Africa, we are currently working on a program where we need to get corporate funding. So we working on that specifically, because when we basically, I think when we started in February 2020, the new executive of Cycling South Africa was almost bankrupt basically.
Okay, cool.
And then we went into this COVID pandemic, and then there wasn't memberships coming in and no sponsorships, etc. So it became a big challenge. So now we're at that point where we could, where we are actually more afloat in terms of the funding, but still it is a challenge to just
cool.
keep the office going. But so that's why we encourage corporate South
get
Africa
involved,
to also get involved with Cycling South Africa, because as our conversation started earlier, there's so much talent.
Yeah.
You know that, and I think with cycling, it can be one of the avenues for corporate South Africa to also get involved with.
All right, cool. Okay, last. What's happening with the UCI mountain bike track at the, I think it's Boylowfield?
Miles, yes, I think that the UCI got involved there with Drakensberg municipality. We had a meeting with a developer about a month ago.
Okay, cool.
That wanted to get involved and really put something in place,
Nice. Okay, cool.
etc. Which is cool.
Yeah.
However, I don't know what happened. Drakensberg decided that the whole project is on hold.
Okay.
No specifics has been given. But yes, we need something like that for Paul, and we need
Yeah.
something like that for the Western Cape.
Yeah.
The same, for instance, if you look at track cycling, we don't have a wooden track facility. We have
Correct.
we have Bellville Velodrome, but it's a concrete track.
Yeah.
So no Commonwealth Games, a couple of years ago when the Commonwealth Games were supposed to be in KwaZulu-Natal, the only code that couldn't take place in South Africa was cycling, track cycling.
Okay.
Because we don't have a wooden track. That's the international standard for any Africa continental event, for any world championships, for any Olympics.
Yeah.
You need a wooden facility.
Okay, cool.
So
Very cool.
with BMX, that's one of the things we actually need to look at for Paul specifically, and then also the Western Cape.
Development, cool.
Yeah.
Kevin, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Miles. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some very interesting insights. Any last words for cycling youth out there?
Never give up, never give up. As I said, Hebrews 11 verse 1, trust in the Lord. So if you have the faith and there is a hope, now I always say that, for instance, when someone needs to climb by Beinskloof, you have the hope at the bottom of Beinskloof that you want to get to the top.
Yeah.
Now the substance is you need to each pedal stroke will take you
To
a few centimeters further up.
Okay.
And without, so I think the message to the youth is, without you investing the time and your efforts and your talent, the hope will definitely be achieved. But it is a stepwise approach. So each pedal stroke. So the youth, there is possibilities. If you have the talent, just work on that, and you will make a success of yourself.
Cool, man. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Thank you, Miles.
Yeah, guys, so we're going to finish off with some music, again from the Angel Corner, Angel Voice Corner.
So, Kevin, what great advice you've just given the youth. Thank you for that. I think faith is the substance of things that are not seen. You must go into it. I almost want to say, do it afraid. Megan Brainers always says, and she said it in a book, do it afraid. If you want to do it, just do it afraid. So we've come to the end of another segment, but we're back on Friday morning with cocktails. Ooh. Janine, thank you for joining us. You're going to play us out with another song and take us into the other half of the week with I'm going to rock with you.
Yes.
Yeah? We're rocking into the other half of the week. Thank you. We also want to say thank you to Ethan. Thank you to our village guy, for this morning. And we're looking forward to Friday. Janine, taking us out with Rock With You.
Thank you.
Let the rhythm get into you. Don't try to fight it. There ain't nothing that you can do. Relax.